Hello, hello. It's me, Alisa, my spiritual friend. It's Sunday, September 17th. And I hope everybody's well. I got a haircut on Friday. I got my toes done and I got a haircut. I was very excited. Um, it was funny when I made the appointment for the haircut. She was like, "Can you wait till?" And it was like something like, I don't know how many weeks out, like over a month out. And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I've been so long without a haircut." So I had somebody else do it for me. So it's all even. She was take a lot off, but it's fine. Whatever. I never care because it's like your hair grows. At least my hair grows, right? I know it can be harder and other people have more of a tightness, but I've literally had so many terrible haircuts in my life that I like this one. That like if it's a little too short, I'm never worried about it because like literally I've had my grandmother cut my hair. I was in like first grade or something like that, and like she got my sister's all of our hair, and it was like super short, and I was already a tomboy, so like I dressed, like I didn't wear like all the little cute little dresses and stuff. Like I dressed like to be rough and tumbly, and yeah, it wasn't nice. Anyway, this curl is doing whatever the hell it wants today. Hi, Rathka. Hi, Lily. How are you? So let's see. What else is going on? A lot of celebrities and things are sort of taking a hit these days, and like all their secrets out of the closet. And there is actually something astrological. I always forget. So Victoria, I have her linked below for her stuff, but she's got some great astrological stuff on. Um, she's on TikTok and she's very active on Instagram too. So she's a good person to follow to explain all of that. You're retired. Congratulations. I didn't think you were old enough to retire. Hi, Dune. Thank you. It's called a haircut. I got a haircut and I got a pedicure. And when I walked out of it, I was kind of like, I should like do this more often. Like, it's not like we can't afford it. I just usually don't because I'm like, who's seeing my feet anyway? But I'm trying this thing called self care. Oh, podcast that you guys should listen to. There's this Robbins podcast, and there's like 2 weeks with this one woman it's like one's about laundry and the next one is about like, organization. And she's a therapist, but you can take the information and apply it to anywhere in any area that you feel shame about. I don't know. It's a good listen. Okay, Dune, I'll check it out. I'll look and see. Hopefully. So I'm asking everybody who's here if you could from now on out, just start moving over to using the PayPal that's my spiritual friend rather than the old one. It would really help me out so that I'm not having to look in 50 different places for all the business. Like I'm trying to streamline my business a little bit. So every time you go to that's now my private one that's not associated with my business bank account, it's making it harder for me. So I really appreciate if you would just make sure you click on do the My Spiritual Friend one. It always goes out in my emails when I send out, and it's also linked below here. Please don't go back to your old, like how you've paid me before. Please just make sure you're doing that. I would really appreciate it. It's just every time I have to go and consolidate everything, it's just making it like double the work. And I'm trying to like put my business for tax purposes and for, because I have an LLC now. And so it's sort of to like protect my home life and everything else. And the more that it gets muddied, the less reason is for me to have an LLC. So please do that. Dune, you're Adley, right? Yes, I see where it's from. Okay. So I'll update that. Hi, Allie. Hi, Linda. Yep, I got everybody's questions and all that stuff, and I didn't read it. I just saw the email come in. Um, okay, Allie. Okay, so Allie, just in case you missed, I'm asking everybody from now on out to please, please, please donate. When you're making your donations, you're paying for a question. Do it to the My Spiritual Friend account, not the old one that you've been using forever and ever. I'm trying to get everybody to do this because it's for my banking purposes, for my business. The reason why I got an LLC is to protect my personal finances and have a business finance, and I need to move everything over, and it needs to be connected with my other bank. It just would make it easier also for bookkeeping for me. So if you guys could kindly do that. So either use the link that I give here. There's a link in the description, and there's also a link in the emails I sent out. I would really appreciate it. It makes it easier for me. It's becoming very stressful, and I'm going to just start giving your money back until you figure out, and I'm going to have to start doing that because I really need, I'm trying to streamline my life in every single area and stop making extra work for myself. Elaine, hello. Okay. So that is it. After today, I literally will give you all of your money back if you give it to the right one. Okay. Like that's for everybody because you're not the only one. It's everybody. I'm just like, I'm having to set boundaries in my life and not be so like, and it's because I feel like, oh, I'm being such a pain by doing this, not understanding, but like I'm doing it at my house too. Like I have given myself too much work by allowing somebody. So how do you fix it? You don't. From now on out, you do it the right way. That's all. After today, I will start refunding everybody's money and until you send it to the right place. So then you don't get on the list until that happens. That's all. That's all I'm going to do. It's not to be mean. It's just trying to make my life, trying to make less work for myself where I can. Okay, so I've got Ali for 2 questions. All right, so then we'll get started. Actually, I see I dyslexia'd your, I don't have dyslexia, but I flipped around your letters there. My apologies. Listen, I don't think I do. Maybe I do. Who knows? My mom thinks maybe I did or do and just compensated. Okay. Dune, yes, you sent it to the right one. Dune and Rothka sent it to the right one. Everybody else didn't. Okay. All right. So Ashley, let me look at your question. When I was first reading it, let me see. It's in this one. When I was first reading it, Schneekies, don't do that. You asked about, so I want to say like, it's all going to work out. It's going to be fine. So you said, can I read it? Are you okay with me reading this? Or do you want a negative on that? Also, I have many drinks today. Okay, I can read it out loud. Just so then if somebody's watching this back, they have context and it's not like, well, this makes no sense. So you said, hi, Annalisa, my visa appointment is on Wednesday and my new job will be filing for my work authorization tomorrow. The confirmation receipt they'll receive is what I'll need to take to my appointment. I know you said that it will go well, but is there anything that I should expect or need to be aware of look out for regarding all of this week? Also, you said my old boss would pay the severance pay and he did this week, but I don't believe he paid the right amount. So now I'll have to deal with that, possibly taking him to court. He has my end of the contract documents, but he wants me to pick them up. He can easily send them by email, and I asked him, but he hasn't responded. Okay. Everything is going to go fine with your appointment. They're going to do the paperwork. I feel like whoever's on top of it on that end is a female that's dealing with signing, stamping, and all of that stuff. So it feels like it's fine. You have nothing to worry about. And the job that you're going to is fine. I think what I want to address more is the boss, the old boss. The reason why he's doing what he's doing is because he's petty and it's passive aggressive. And so he's like, I'm not going to make this easy on her because she didn't make it easy on me. Meaning you left him now in the beginning of the school year with like finding a position that needs to be filled. Which honestly is your prerogative. So there's no like, oh, you're a terrible person. Like I'm sorry, like where work is, like you don't owe loyalty to anyone as far as I'm concerned. The way businesses are run now and corporations and schools and everything is run, it's like literally every man for themselves. They They don't care about the little guy. They will do whatever they can. And so like that's why we're seeing all the strikes and everything, because they don't care about you. So like your job is not to make sure they're safe and all of that stuff. So, but that's why he's doing what he's doing. I don't feel like you'll have to take him to court. I feel like if you really look at it, there's something you're missing where something got taken out. Um, it doesn't feel like the money is so much of a difference that it might be, once you look into taking him to court, it's not worth it. And I feel like he knew that. Like it's just enough of a difference. Like, um, so listen, you're going to do what you want to do. I'm just saying this is what I'm seeing energetically behind it. Like, um, I feel like whatever the difference is, it ends up not being worth you going and spending the money to take him to court over it. It feels like it's like, okay. I mean, it just feels like, also remember that time is money, right? So it might not be worth your frustration and all of that. Uh, but the reason why he's making you go pick it up and not emailing it again is just, it's just a power play. The more you emotionally react to it, or the more you kind of like, it's like you feed into that energy, that same dynamic. So I don't know. It feels like it could simply be resolved by through some emails and not a court thing. Maybe you have to email a lawyer and say like, hey, he won't pay this amount or whatever, and they have to fire off a letter and it's taken care of. Um, but I don't know. Is it a letter you can't get, or is it the money you can't get? I want to be clear on this, like what I'm understanding, because my feeling is sort of like, it feels like someone just has to fire off a letter. It doesn't feel like it's going to end up being that much, but I also just, it's a feeling of, it's all the end of contract. Gotcha. It feels like he'll send it, but I'm saying that's why he's doing it. And it also just feels like, choose the things that are going to make you expend the least amount of energy. So don't go back and forth with him. Go to your union, tell them what's happening, and have them deal with it. And don't spend another minute thinking about it. It's like, here, I'm asking you guys, I'm like, if you can't, it's like it becomes a boundary. If you can't pay the way I'm asking you to pay, I'm not going to answer questions anymore. I will be refunding your money until you get it and understand it. And it's not, I'm not being mean. I'm trying to create boundaries because it's for my health and my well-being. You need to set an emotional boundary. I can choose to rile up and be like, make a story in my head and what all's going on. I can tell you why he's doing it. He, like, everything in me feels like he's just petty, and it's to make you do as much work as possible because that's what he's going to do. It's like a vengeful type behavior. And he's like that in all of his relationships, including his marriage with his wife that you know. And it becomes now just do what's easiest. Do what's the least exertion of energy that will get you the results you want. And the least exertion of energy is, I'm going to let them deal with it. I'm going to show them everything that's happening and just file the complaints and let it go. Right. But your friend didn't quit at the last minute. Right. So it's like, it's become this like, and it's not to be like, this is your fault, but energetically, you two feed into each other that way. I've done it. Like listen, it's not like I've gotten along with all my bosses. In fact, I've always been told I have a strong personality because I'm an extreme advocate for patients. And I don't care if I piss you off by advocating for my patients. So if you know all of that, so here's the thing. I'm going to say this is not psychic. This is like just dealing with people where you know where it's at. Okay. I know what I have. If you know the rules and the laws, that's the best thing you can do, but you can't make somebody know the rules and the laws and follow them. You can't be like, oh, but you have to, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Just go to your union, have your union deal with it. They know how to deal with that. And he will listen to them. And he'll do it no problem, because management they never like the union. Like when I worked at it was like a nursing home for kids in the city. I was a travel nurse, and I was doing 7 A to 7 P, but their aides and they had a union, their aides had a union, did 8-hour shifts instead. So we were in the middle of their shift change, and I was making the assignments, and basically they always had the same assignment because they like to work with the same residents. So the one person who was gone, the person who came in from her shift, I was just going to throw her in there. And she didn't like the assignment because I guess it was a heavier set of kids. I think they're all not like heavy, but like a little bit more work. So I just said, oh, well, someone else switch with her. Like I didn't literally just left it amongst them, because I'm like, and one of my favorite aides, she's so nice. She's like, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. And she switched and had no problem. Even though she had already been working with those kids already day, had everything set, like she was willing to change. So this woman was like, I'm going to go home. So my point being is, like, then I got told, oh, she called the union. I was like, I don't care. I didn't do anything wrong. So let her call the union. But he knows he's doing something wrong. So calling the union is a problem for him. So I don't want to spend any more time on this. I don't really care about all the details, because you're getting mixed up in the details and the emotions of it. And I'm telling you, this is what I feel is you're going to have to go to them and deal with them. They'll fire off a letter and they'll take care of it. He will then do everything he needs to do and send you it through an email and not make you come down and take care of it. But don't get rattled up in all of the emotions of it, okay? Right. Right. So just like, you just have to do it that way. And then like literally give yourself an emotional break and just be like, I'm done with this. This is how it's going to happen. It's fine. They will take care of it, and know that they'll take care of it. But he will. It's just, I can only just tell you where I can see what he's doing and why he's doing it. It's not really you personally. He's just a petty shit. That's all. And I don't see anything. Yeah. And the union protects you. Especially when you go in and you know you're right. Like, it's not like this woman who went and complained to her union. It was like, I'm like, everything was taken care of. Hi, Rockdown. Oh my goodness. Everybody's crawling out of the woodwork lately. How are you? KK showed up last week. Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad everything's working out so well there and you're having a good time there. Everybody deserves to be in a workspace that feels safe, and doesn't feel like, you go into fight or flight mode every time you walk through the doors. Metaphorically speaking, if you do homework, like work from home. I'm setting limits on my, I said to my one daughter, I was like, the kitchen is closed at 9:00, meaning if you want something to eat after 9:00, unless it's certain circumstances, like, just like whatever we're going on, like, I am not cooking after 9:00 anymore. I am not getting, like, I will get you some cereal or something easy. Like, I am setting some limits here. If I've already made you one meal and you're still hungry, then you can go find some yogurt or something else to eat. I am not cooking 85,000 times a day anymore. Like, I'm literally trying to set boundaries with everybody now because my sanity and my well-being is not good. Okay. And so if you want me to keep doing this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Okay. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the little things that I'd like to scribble on when I write little notes and do little things. There we go. I like that one. Okay. Closed at 9, another boundary. Yeah. I didn't learn that early enough, but I also have, like I have a daughter who's autistic and coming out of massive burnout, and I was just willing to do anything to try and help her find some stability and help her own nervous system find its own stability. But now mama needs her. So here we go. Okay. Let's go. Let's see who's Rothka, and then Devry, and then Linda. You're welcome. Please let us know. I'm excited that you have a new job. I'm excited that you're happy there. I'm hopeful that my feeling is also, but I'm also hopeful that that feeling is right, that it will be a safe place to be in a safe space. A general reading from Rothko. Okay. Hang on. So I saw you kind of like with your hands and arms bound, like so I'm sitting a little bit more cross-legged right now. My arms a little bit crossed, and I kind of saw that, but I see like kind of a little bit of chains around you. This is all metaphorical, of course. I see like those kind of starting to break off. So, and it was around like the idea of like shame and apathy, like how these two things have been sort of holding you hostage lately. Not lately, but in general. And it feels like whatever work you're doing, so whether that's meditation or maybe it's through your writing, um, and looking at your belief systems, they're starting to break free and kind of untangle themselves a little bit. So, um, you know that I think it's a Marvin Gaye song. Let me look at. Um, Gotta give it up. It's like I used to go out to parties and stand around because I was too nervous to really get down. And it's that feeling of like oh, I'm ready now. Like I'm ready to like sort of break free and be authentically me. And they're reminding you that finding your authentic self and being yourself is a process, and it isn't just like all of a sudden like all of a sudden I came out of the psychic closet to my family and everybody was like, yes, and celebrate. It's like it's like when I came out as wanting to do this work, right? Um, it happened in layers and like being really comfortable with it. Okay, so then I'm out about it and everything else, but then really being comfortable with it and being like, this is what I do, and then owning the authority in it. And that space is like, oh, that's okay for me to do too. And now I'm like working on the level of like what I say, what I believe, and what I share is not necessarily going to be in alignment with other people. And while I like to do all this like crazy connecting out there and all these crazy spiritual things can happen, and I want to teach other people how to connect into that, also a huge part of your spiritual practice is like going within. And it's a lot of work that has nothing to do with deities and spirit and all of that stuff. And so it's like, it feels like you're just happening in layers, and they're like, it's like another chain that's coming off, and they're showing that. Two places where the chain imagery applies: work in a way, and also your suggestions to revisit the artist's writing. Yeah, you're talking about the second one. I'm talking about in general, where it's like they're saying like doing the work that you're doing is actually going to help open up in all areas of your life. So I use a lot of examples about myself because I'm like, this is sort of how it is. So, okay. Um, I listened to this thing I just mentioned earlier, this Mel Robbins thing. I was talking about organization and cleaning, and one of my manifestation things I'm working on is being more organized and feeling like, well, it's like, where's my idea around what does that mean? It's like, oh, and she sort of hit on the net. It's like being clean and organized and neat. It's not like, whatever. We're not disgusting. My house was disgusting a little bit ago, but like it's more around like there's just toys and things everywhere, um, and it's like, well, it's not a moral judgment. Like you aren't morally superior if you go into somebody's home and it's totally clean and there's like not a speck of dust anywhere and everything is totally highly organized. It's like that doesn't make that person more a better person, right? And so it's sort of like when I started listening to that and I started like going, oh, okay. And then someone came and dropped off some Girl Scout stuff yesterday, and her daughter slipped in our house, and the house wasn't tidied yet. It was still kind of messy and pretty messy, actually. It's a little bit more tidy now. Um, she wanted to meet the bunny, and my younger daughter had said, like, the youngest daughter had said, like, brought her in to meet the bunny. And I was like, I didn't go into fight or flight mode. I didn't go into like, oh my God, panic. I didn't go, you might get some reports back that it's pretty messy in there, but I didn't freak out, right? Whereas in the past, I would have panicked and I would have yelled at my kids and be like, what are you doing? And I was just like, could we maybe just like, if the house is totally like, just ask first. But I didn't freak out. And my point is like when you release the shame and like all of that's from one area, it allows like, so, okay, so it allows that to be a thing, but it's like, oh, it also allows me now to step into this area and not feel like I have to be perfect. So it's allowing a weight to be lifted everywhere when I do it in one area. So that's what they're showing me is that it's allowing this weight to be lifted. So while you may be looking as like, I want to be more creative, I would like to step into that creativity more, and I'm allowing myself to do that, it's going to allow you to feel safe being seen in all areas of your life, it's going to open it up everywhere. And that's what they're saying is like, I'm seeing energetically that it is opening that up. It's breaking free of that chain a little bit. And most of the things we have are, and they're saying this self-imposed. It doesn't mean that the belief system doesn't come from somewhere outside of you, but at the same time, we hold ourselves to those belief systems until we decide. Advice. Keep doing what you're doing. Because I know what you wrote. And they go encourage her to expand on that. And I think maybe that's why I was like, why isn't there more? Because I felt like there's more to this. Like I could go down this. So maybe when you sit to write, and this is something I'm doing some group coaching. I'm not coaching, I'm receiving coaching. And there's some one-on-one and some group stuff, and a lot of exercises and stuff and things that I've never invested myself in. And someone was telling a story and I was like, oh, before I sit down to write stuff for church, like, and I'm not sure what, like, this is probably a good tip for writers to work intuitively is like, I say, what does the congregation need to know today? But you could say, like, if you're writing with an audience in mind, you could say, what does my reader need to know today? What would be the most interesting? What would be the most voraciously, something for them to voraciously read type thing? Because then it's like, and then I said to her too, I was like, and write it, and then like, if you can change it, like it doesn't have to be like that's it. Like there's always room for editing. There's always room for going, I think it should go in this direction now instead. And that's not wasted time. It's removing a barrier that we set up that it has to be some way instead of just allowing it to come through you. Because truthfully, there's also like no wrong in writing. Like if you're only writing for success, and I know that's not what you're doing, but I'm just saying this because someone needs to hear this. If you're only writing for success and like to get the money, then you're missing out on really doing it for the reason that you loved, which was putting your spin on it and your creativity and your interest, or what drew you to wanting to do that. I mean, I have a lot of videos that are like, but I know there's a reason, like even if one person was like, I really needed to hear that. I'm like, that's what I'm doing it for. Like, I don't need to be right. And it's like, if we're always going out to just be like a viral hit or a big thing, you miss it. And the other thing I heard the other day, and I think this is important. So Topher, somebody was interviewing Topher Grace, and they were saying like, um, you were on this hit show, like, but before you were on a hit, and he's like, the thing is like, he's like, we weren't a hit until season 5, and he's like, and the thing that you don't realize when you're in it is that you're in it, like you're in that process of getting there. So like everything that you're doing is a part of your goal, even if you feel like it's not hitting. The themes that came up in that piece are going to part of a longer, bigger arc. Perfect. Because it was good and it was interesting. And I was like, oh, tell me more. Well, what did you do with it? Well, like, did he revisit that, or was like, did you revisit that? What was your growth from that? What was your experience? Like, where did you go with it? Or the main character. So it just feels like really giving it over and just being like, okay, instead of being like, oh, it has to go here. It's like you can have idea, like be open to like, oh, I'd like to write about this. I'd like to share this. And then just be like, how is this going to come out? Show me, allow this to happen. Because it doesn't have to be a perfect process. And you don't have to write the beginning at the beginning. You can write the end first and then ask them to help you find the beginning. Like, nobody said you had to write a story in order. You just have to read it in the right order. Kelly, these are some really good nuggets of wisdom, I feel like. And that's channeling. That's what channeling is. It's not this like, people do this all like, have you seen that? And you're like, oh, okay. Does that like tell you that it's coming through? Because people channel like that. Channeling is just, it feels like a conversation that you're like, oh, where'd that come from? So with those people that are like, and I've seen it on, what's that guy's name? Bashar. He'll do that and he'll like change his voice and be all weird. And I guess your voice changes a little bit sometimes. I was told mine did, but it doesn't have to be like that. So channeling is like way more normal. Like it's really just connecting to source and allowing them, like stepping aside a little bit and allowing them to just send you the information. And you can do that with your writing or any creative aspect. Same thing with your writing, even if you're going for like writing your cover letter or something, like, okay, how would they best receive me? What would they really want to hear? Show me what would really catch their eye or make them want to meet me. Hello. Okay. All right. So let's go with, I hope that was helpful. Was that helpful? You know. Deborah, are you here, dear? Hi, Allie. Okay, we'll see you in 20. We'll still be here. All right, Debbie wants in general. Let me just check the PayPal's really quick. Hi, Regine. I'll add you to the list. So, Regine, I said this before. I don't know if you're late, so I'm saying it again. From now on out, after today, I am going to be, if you don't pay the right one, I'm just going to refund your money. I won't answer your question until you do it to the right one, until you start getting it to the right one, because I'm really trying to make myself have less work than necessary, because it's more inconvenient for me to have to do all of my bookkeeping from so many different accounts, and it's just a click of a button to get to the right account for you guys. And so I'm trying not to inconvenience you, but at the expense of my time and frustration and all of that stuff. And I need to stop doing that. So if you pay to this account, like the one you did today, I will be refunding your money. And because I post it at the top of this thing. I also post it in the description, and it's in the emails that go out of the correct one. Okay, that's all. Not to pick on you. I'm picking on everybody. It shouldn't be. Which email link did you use? Let me see. No, you didn't. Which email link did you use? The one from the email? Then I need to go in and change it. Is it an old email or today's email? That I need to go in and change it. Okay, thank you for telling me that. I'll double check that then. Okay, I'll double check that then. Thank you. Sometimes KK told me last week, she's like, your thing isn't here. I was like, okay. So that's what we're doing from going forward. We have to use the new link. Okay. I'll look at that in a minute. I just got that pulled up so that I don't forget. Okay. All right. So you want everyone's in general. All right. So. First thing that I'm feeling is, number one, I feel like it's really easy to kind of connect in. Like I do feel like you're, I don't know if you've been meditating or what you're doing is like taking some quiet time. It's like breath work, but it feels more like the way you do when you meditate, the connecting in with spirit that way. But I also feel really tight here on my right side of my jaw. And it was funny. I got the feeling of like, I don't know if you know how this works, but like I can't see your house or where you're sitting. Right. So it's that feeling of like you're actually so it's that like, it sounds silly, but it's like, oh, don't see my house, don't see what's around me. Like, so if it's messy or whatever. But I feel like in a way for me to be able to say that to you and say, like, I know that this wall is going up. It's important for you to know that energetically, when you're putting walls up, they work. Right. So it's on the side of like, I don't want this part to be seen, but also you can set up energetic barriers between you and other people and know that they work. There's a lot of pressure in my sinus here on my right side. I know that you have a history of that stuff, but I just feel more so here. And they are mentioning stinging nettle tea would be really good. It really, really helps alleviate symptoms of hay fever, but also soursop tea might really be beneficial for you too. You have a cold. Okay. Hi, Mariana. Sure, you can purchase a reading. Use the link in here. Apparently, I have to fix the link in my letters. Yes, I'm drinking two different teas. This one is soursop, and soursop is like I don't know. I like the way it smells. It's a mild tea. You just I buy the leaves and I just tear up two leaves and I steep them for like 10 minutes. Um, but like it feels like soursop tea and stinging nettle would be really beneficial. Um, been down about a lot of stuff, yeah. Um, oh, hang on. When you buy this stuff on Amazon and you buy it in the bigger, it's not that expensive, by the way. So it's not like I don't know. Once I started figuring out how so many of these things like heal you and start to like make you feel better, like I figured out the stinging nettle because I noticed I had been drinking that with dandelion root, and I noticed that like the last season, like the grass pollen season, because I had really bad grass pollen stuff. Like the only time it was really bad was when I was in the grass, but like my kids will be totally terrible, and I didn't need anything for it. And then I heard it came up the other day about it, and I read what it was for, and I was like, oh, that would make sense. Um, okay, so when you said you were down, I was like, I was asking, it's like, well, I know that nothing's come up yet for a job, and it's hard because you are living, kind of tight budget wise. Um, and the thing they want to talk about is like, and I know I probably beat this so far down for saying like, look at our self concept and how we feel about that. But what if it's more about like, look at like when you get into like the paralysis state, right, where you're just like you feel like you're just so stuck and you can't move, and you know you need to do more. And if I would just do this, and if I would just do that, and it's like there's like a shame spiral and all that stuff, and they're sort of saying like, how would you talk to a friend if they were going through a hard time? How would you like speak to them? Like in this instance, it's important to be your best friend. Speak to yourself with kindness. The thing that I thought was really interesting, because I find myself getting stuck, right? I always said like I'm just like stuck and I don't know what it is. Like, and it is like because I would carry shame around what it meant to do something, or if I wasn't doing this, then I had a shame. Like if I'm not building the business the way I want to, then I'm shame. I shame myself for it, and I know better, and I should be doing better, and more people is, and I know I need to do X, Y, and Z, and I get stuck in like a shame spiral. And then what happens is like I get a little bit stuck because I get worried that it's overwhelmed, or I have to do it in this way. And like you listen to people tell you like, oh, if you do X, Y, and Z, then you'll build your business, and this is how it happens. And they give you this whole laundry list. And like my brain works where it's like a little bit more black and white thinking sometimes. And I stop going, I start seeing just the whole laundry list and not how to break it down. Sometimes it's like, well, just do one thing. So it's like it's that idea of like just do one thing, and if you don't get it all done, you're not a terrible person. It's like, but I just did the one thing. And sometimes it's not about motivation, it's about momentum more often than not. So it's like, well, I could do another thing, and but know that like you're not a terrible person. And I know the wanting to have more and financially is not because you're like need, not that you would deserve, you want to gallivant. It's like because it sucks to live paycheck to paycheck. It sucks to just feel like you're only working to like just pay your bills and not really enjoy life. Um, okay, so I'm gonna say this to you, and not because I don't love you, because I literally heard it say, what if, and hear me out, you didn't get a question from me every week? And you don't come every week, but you know what I mean? Like, what if you save that money and go get yourself a pedicure instead? And just come here to listen. If you need to listen, because the messages that you need will come through somebody else. And what if you just took that money and you went and did something frivolous for yourself? That wasn't about getting the answer or finding the thing. That was just like, I just need to do this for myself. Without guilt, without shame, without feeling terrible about doing that for yourself. Just do something frivolous. Or go to a movie or whatever it is and just do that. Is it going to make everything better? No. But if you can just allow yourself to just enjoy something without feeling the guilt around it. I guess I trust in that. Like, so sometimes I'll trust that, like, I'll get the message that I need to get and I don't necessarily need to pay for it. And I'm telling you that. Just come and listen and be in the energy of it. Right. But when you're concentrated that hard on a goal, so did you mean to say shirt off, Clara Murphy? So, because that's not this channel. Wrong channel. um, I don't look, I give grace for the fact that I understand that some people English is their second language or typos happen, but at some point, not this channel. Like, I'm sure I could make more money on one of those sites. Maybe I could. I mean, I've got to be somebody's body type, right? Like 45 with a little, All right. On that side, thank you for the comic relief. Like, I don't do these. Let me put it this way. I make nice money, right? I certainly don't make enough to run a household yet. But I'm also okay with you guys just listening. I ramble enough. There's something bound to come out, right? You're really trying here. Clara, come on now. I just don't really like, let's just talk about my personality. Like from day one, you're like, shirt off tonight. I am like pretty conservative and not like conservative as in like religious, but like in dress. Like, I don't know if it's autocorrect or not. So maybe I'm just, you've been getting interviews, so that's good. Okay, that's perfect. So energetically, that's where I want you to start. So sometimes I mean, I know everybody's like, oh, manifesting, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you just have to reframe it a little bit. And I really do believe that, okay, Clara, I'm going to silence you for a little bit until you figure out where you want to be. It's just, I'm gonna put you in a timeout until you figure out what you're trying to say. And then if you come back and you're still not sure, this probably isn't the channel for you, I'm gonna like not allow you to ask anything anymore, type anything. It's not to be rude. You aren't a bad person. But I just, okay. My shirt's not coming off. I mean, geez. Okay. That said, I started looking at things being like, oh, I manifested that. So you get the interviews. Like, is it the job yet? No, but I manifested that. I manifested these people noticing me and seeing me and want to interview me. And then it starts to become like the right job will be here. I will get that job. I know it's going to be mine. And just reiterating it and not letting, I'm not looking for a job right now. We're going to do it with like weight loss. So I gained like 15 or 17 pounds without trying, and not like I was just sitting around eating bonbons, and like I was still like eating. I was not eating way above my calorie. I was still even in a deficit. And I was still exercising, and it was just like, it ended up being a metabolic imbalance and like kind of going all through these things. But now I know what it is, and I'm working and I'm kind of leading in the other direction, but it's not going to be overnight because I'm not doing it in a way that's going to drop weight really quickly. It's about rearranging my metabolic system, right? And getting it back in balance. So it's like, I'm seeing small changes. The interviews are coming in, but I'm not necessarily, and my clothes are getting a little bit looser, but it's not this big, gigantic, like, pow, I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks, right? So it's like, but I do go, it's working, I'm doing great, I'm just going to keep with it. So it feels like, right. So what I'm saying is like, it feels like not a lot's happening, but I'm going to stick with it because sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So it becomes what if the manifestation isn't about like right now, it's like taking baby steps, right? Making a little bit of change. It's like, so, okay, every day I'm going to send out things, or it's like when the interview comes in, it's like, I manifested that, like take ownership of it. I manifested that. And it's like, it starts to shift your energy slowly. And I know it's really hard to stick with it. I'm the queen of like having to remind myself, just because it's not happening in the 3D does not mean something's happening or something's not happening. And like, hi, Preya. And I know it's easier for me to sit on this end of it and be like, keep doing that. But I feel like the lesson of like me going, oh, I can feel that you're putting a barrier up, and not like a negative one, like, but like, I don't want you to see this part of what's going on around me. If you can send that kind of energy up for a block, you can send that kind of energy out for a job. You can emit that when you send your emails and your filings as you're typing it, being like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, sometimes I feel like you might be applying for jobs just to apply, but it's like, they'll notice me and hire me. They'll want to hire me. They'll just like start having the energy of like, this is like confidence and fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like, they're going to notice this. And even if it's like, what if you're trying, instead of like, I have to get this job, it's like, I'm going to see if I can get this interview. Okay. They're going to want to interview me off of this energy. Right. And I think that's fine to do that. But I'm saying like, if the baby step in that would be, they're going to interview me because X, Y, and Z, instead of being like, oh, they probably won't even see it. Like, they're going to interview me, or they want to interview me because I'm so amazing. And then when that interview comes in, you go, I manifested that, and own that. And then it's like the baby step of it's like, okay, they're when I get interviewed, so that it's like, oh, they interviewed me, they thought I was amazing. That's the next baby step. So maybe it's too hard because it has been so right. Do the baby step way of getting them to bring you in, and oh, I'm so amazing. They can't like it. That you would start the end. It's like in a process rather than in a end state. There's nothing wrong with doing that. A lot of people are like, oh, it's always the end state, and then you don't worry about what's going on. But until you get comfortable with your manifesting, maybe you need to do the baby steps. And that's okay too. Absolutely. Yeah, that's also because you've already made the energetic connection. So like if the idea is that we are all one, everything is interconnected, then I always think then it really shouldn't be that hard, right? It's just my belief system that's sort of making it a little bit harder. I thought it was funny because I manifested, I was like, I was doing a money manifestation thing and I was like, oh, well, whatever. Like, thought, oh, that's impossible. But the money came through my husband's paycheck, not through me. Like, he had like a bonus type thing. And it was the exact amount I was like saying. So it's like, um, I'm trying to work on like it not coming through him and just coming through me. So it just feels like remembering how powerful you are. If I can feel that go up, then obviously your energy can go up and be felt out. And I think sometimes when you're like, oh, I want to just know anything, it's like, I hope you're not leaving, but know how powerful how powerful your energy is, and that I could feel it in that moment, doing what it wants. So it's like the universe can feel that too when you're wanting the job. Okay. All right, Linda, let's look at yours. Um, I know you sent an email. I didn't quite read it. I sort of saw it. And then I see, Mariana, I have yours, just so you know. So it didn't go on the last list, but you're there. Here. Oh, Clara. All right. I read it. I saw it. You're not going to see my whole body. I don't know. Like, I'm just going to hide you now. I'm sorry. All right. But it was fun while it lasted. You just didn't make an energetic connection. Sorry. Okay. I was going to look up your email. Sorry. Thank you. A little distracted. Um, so remember how in the very beginning you were asking about your mom? And I said, I don't know, I keep seeing this $30,000. You're like, oh, are they going to take the house? I was like, no, I keep seeing the 30. I saw 30,000. So I think that does go to it. However, I do feel like because her apartment is like that, I do feel like they'll use some of that. They would to pay to clean the apartment. Um, um, I feel like you have anything that would be of any sort of value to you anyway, meaning uh, pictures, things like that. So it feels like any furniture, anything like that that you had wanted are already with you. Uh, I do feel like taking a loan out from your 401k rather than the home is a better option for you. Like either would work, but I feel like against yourself, you're paying yourself back. Um, but I also feel like there's a way to rearrange your debt to do it where you're not, where it's less of a burden. I don't feel like you're going to have to take both loans. Hi, Allie. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I actually was like thinking like, why not do a 0%? But the reason why I even questioned that before you even wrote it was because like maybe she doesn't have the credit to do that. But yeah, like why wouldn't you? Um, I know that it's tight, but I don't feel like I feel like there's ways to wiggle around it to where it actually wouldn't be as tight. Um, yeah. So I just feel like going to somebody who, like, looking at somebody who does, who deals with debt relief would be good. But it's also like it does feel like just working around like the and moving some of it over to a 0% would be better. And last resort would be taking a 401k loan out. I don't feel like it's a good idea to take a home equity loan out. I feel like it's a bad idea, actually. Um, it feels like you're going to have to act like you're going to have a letter from an attorney to say like why you would need money out of that to clean her house. Um, I mean, the other thing is honestly, I feel like there's also some way to where it becomes not your responsibility to pay for it because she won't have any of that 30,000 left. And so it's like I feel like the apartment complex would have to clean it out. It just feels different. Like, if she's a renter, it doesn't feel like you're going to have to pay for it. But it also feels like you're sort of going to have to wash your hands of it and not have so much control over it. You're the homeowner and it's your upstairs. Okay, got it. Never mind. So the number I keep getting around for how much it's going to cost to clean it out is around. I'm getting a solid 1,000, but you might be able to do it as little as 750. The other thing is, and I want you to keep this in mind, as soon as you clean it out, now you have room for renters and you have help paying the mortgage and everything else. So it feels like it's short term. And I really feel like you could do that with a little bit of a loan out of your own 401k. I feel like you can get around it without your home equity loan. It just feels like not a great idea to take a second loan out on your house. I I'm telling you what I'm seeing. So I don't know what that is, but it feels like there's a way to do it for less, and I don't understand how. So maybe there's some part of it that you can do too, where like I don't know what your trash pickup is like, but on our trash pickup days on the large trash pickup day is like they'll take anything. So I don't take it all out there at once, but I take stuff out there. Um, I mean, unless you had some kind of a lease with your mom as a owner, landlord and renter, I don't know that you'll have recourse against it to take from that money to pay off that thing, to pay for somebody to come in and clean it. You know those, have you ever heard of green drop bags? They're like, look up green drop bags and see what they'll take as far as, but we've used one before. Um, and we just had it like at the end of our driveway, and they come at like you fill it all yourself and then they bring it out. So it may be like maybe you need to do something like that where you get like a green drop bag instead of the whole container, the big container. It's like it's a different. They like literally pick it up with these huge handles, and you start bringing stuff out there, and then hire somebody to just move the larger stuff out into it, or for the larger stuff have somebody come and take away the larger stuff. And if it's salvageable, have Salvation Army or somebody come pick it up. And you can just hire somebody to come help move just a little bit. So you're not spending the huger amount, the huger, the larger amount. um, Look up green drop bag. I don't know how psychic this is. I gotta be honest with you. But I just keep feeling like there's a way to do it with less money, but it may require you. So no lease. Okay. So that it may require you to do a little bit of the legwork yourself, but it feels like doing it over time. It's like you don't have to do it all in one day. Is it easier with a crew? Yeah, because they can get it done in 2 days and then you're done with it, right? But that's what you're paying for. But it feels like you could do it, and the green drop bags were. Let's see. Let's look it up. Let's do this together. I think it's called a green drop bag. No, that's something else. Okay, let me think. Oh, it's called the Bagster. Green Drop is something else. The THE bag BAG stir STER.com. So what items will be removed? The examples are sink, tile, countertops, carpets, decking, and then they like go to their website. It'll talk all about it. They're pretty big. They carry a lot, and you could just do it's like the bag is 3 cubic yards. So you could get a couple bags. Then they have containers too. Jobs the dumpster handles furniture removal, but if they can handle, hang on. Yeah, they do. So do the bags. The bags handle furniture and stuff too. So look at that. That might be an option for you that's less expensive, and then you can do it a little bit over time. Even if you take a month to do it, like the loss that you would have in say revenue of a renter is still less than the loss you would have of paying somebody to do it. Even if you took 2 months to do it, like no one says you have to do that overnight. Is it exhausting? Yeah, but that's why you pay somebody bigger to do it. So I don't have to do all the work. But if you're looking at financially, I can't foot that. Look at the Bagster. Um, look at the Bagster. See if you can hire one person or two. You can hire people off of like TaskRabbit or whatever, and just say, I need somebody to help, and hire somebody for the day work, not for the whole job. Just be like, can you help me do X, Y, and Z? And just do little by little. It won't take a year. I literally don't feel like it'll take a year. It's really like, it feels like, I'm telling you, got to listen to this website, that Mel Robbins podcast, because it's literally like, oh, it's not about motivation. Like I've got to get really motivated to be able to do it. It's like, just do one thing. And then sometimes, oh, I could do another. And you get in the momentum of it. If there are, listen, now I'm going to say this. If there are health hazards, it might not be just about hiring one person off, because they might need protective wear, right? Because some of those homes can get unhealthy in a big way. But if it's really just stuff and not garbage and trash and things like that, like if it's really just she collected a lot of stuff and went to like yard sales and she always had just tons of stuff and it's not really about like food scraps and that kind of stuff, then yeah. And then when it gets done, you can hire someone to come in and do a deep clean. There are health hazards. Okay. So it might not be about like, that might be something where you wear a mask and gloves and do that stuff and take care of the health hazard part and then have somebody come in. But just take your time for it. Don't, and don't shame yourself about it. And don't feel like, oh, it should be, or I should be able to, like, there is no shoulding. So you do what you can, and that's okay. And have your brother come down and help you. Um, and a lot of hoarding comes with like, there's a lot of, mental health issues that come with that. It's like there can be physical disabilities and then the shame and around what I should be doing, that kind of stuff. Hi, Dana. Sure. The PayPal link should be pinned at the top. Let me just double check and see if it is. I might have forgot to pin it. I'll pin it right now. Okay, so the PayPal link is pinned. So, and I'm sorry about your mom. By the way, I didn't say that today. I actually mentioned it on last week's and then sent you. So I'm really sorry about that. But on the other side, I'm like, gosh, she didn't have to suffer long. And it is hard to watch our loved ones. Like it's hard to say goodbye, but it's really hard to watch them when it's a dragged out, long process, right? But look at Bagster. We've used one when we first moved in. I'd be happy to get another one and get rid of some. I'm just kidding. I donate every month now. I go through and I'm like, what can I get rid of this month? Because my kids have that much stuff. And I have a lot of crafting things I should donate somewhere. Anyway, okay. Should myself. All right. Let's see. Dune. I think Dune is in another continent. Let's get Dune. Dune, Allie, Regine, and Mariana. I'm starting a website besides the YouTube channel I talked about last time. Will it go well? Yeah, but you're going to have to do some work to pull some traffic to it. So it it might mean, again, it's the self-promoting. Also, like, I know you might not like Pinterest, but it's like pinning it, doing stuff to where it pulls traffic to it. A web shop, okay, but I still feel like you're going to have to like just pull a little bit of traffic to it. So I don't know if you're going through, like, if you're doing something like what is the one? Shop something. Shopify. If you're doing Shopify, it still feels like you're gonna have to pull some traffic to it. Whereas like Etsy kind of has its own algorithm pull stuff. But the other thing that I feel like will pull it might be a way for you to do it. It doesn't mean it's but it's like you have to do something else to pull traffic to it. On TikTok now they have TikTok Shop, and it feels like just put one of your items on there, and then like if it's like in the packaging, then include that, and they'll come and look at more stuff. So if it's drop shipping, so that's like print on demand type stuff, like, isn't it drop shipping? So it feels like if you then open up a TikTok, you don't even have to be on there. Like, there are so many channels that do really well with, they don't care what you look like. They don't, like, you can just have your product and you don't even have to use your voice. You can have voice that sounds like somebody else talking over it and telling about the product. It's like, if they can buy it there, or talking about other stuff, and then have like, oh, by the way, have, I don't know, whatever, inspirational quotes, and then have that on there. It's like that will pull traffic to it. They can buy directly from TikTok, but then in your shipping stuff, you then have their email, so you're now creating an email list, and then you can also, like, it'll bring them to their website to see more stuff. Or put your products on a Pinterest thing, which then pulls traffic towards it. It's like there needs to be something towards it in the long run. It does well. I don't see huge amounts, but it feels like it's the beginning of, like, maybe then you have another thing. It's like, I feel like you'll have more streams of income, but I also feel like, so like that coupled with other things, you're doing well. But they're literally like, it hinges on you putting it out there to come to you. I'm good. How are you? I think you say your name, Kayanat. It doesn't have to be ads. That's the thing. It's like, you can do TikTok Shop without it. I mean, you could put an ad, but I actually feel like if you went on TikTok and did an ad, it would pull more. It would give more to it. No, I don't do free readings. If you want to try and win a free reading here, go to my website and sign up for my email list. And every week I send out an email for somebody to win a free question on here. Go to my TikTok, subscribe to my TikTok. I'm going to start doing readings again there. I've been, the last couple of weeks since school started, I've had to do some like self-care stuff, like going to the dentist and get my teeth cleaned when my kids aren't around. But go on there. I do free readings there. So Ashley's gotten a free reading on there. Like, I do free readings on there for people. I don't read for everybody. I do pick and choose, but you have to be subscribed to my email or over there. That's just how I do it. Um, I don't know that you're going to be making, it's going to take a little bit for you to make money on your YouTube channel. It might take about a year or two. It's not a quick. And then it feels like, I feel like the bulk of your income is going to come from your shop. You can even do ads on WhatsApp, I guess. That's what I heard now, is that like WhatsApp has stuff, and so does Snapchat. Um, but it feels like it's like in order to get people there, you have to be on other platforms too, just to drive traffic to it. It'll be a little bit before you leave your current job. All right. Allie, you're up. You're welcome. Oh, I had this really cool thing happen this week. So I went to the dentist. I got my teeth cleaned, and the woman who was cleaning my teeth, she's not. So he doesn't have. He kind of rotates out in hygienists because it's a long story. Whatever, it's fine. They're essentially like. Anyway, so she was telling me. I was. She said, "Whoa, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I have my own business." She asked what I did, and I told her, and she's like, "Oh, my friend is a psychic medium." She told me the woman's name, and I was like, "Oh, I think I might know her because she's in the city." Um, and she mentioned she's had readings and all this stuff. And then she mentioned my friend Paul, and I was so excited because my friend Paul has passed away. And she was like, "Oh, I had a reading from him." And she described him. I was like, "I think that's my friend Paul." She's like, "Oh, he passed away, but he's this really nice man, blah, blah, blah." So it was like nice to hear somebody have like, and she was just telling these great stories about it. It was just nice because I felt like, oh, it's like little Paul with me that day. Okay. He wasn't little, he was tall. Anyway. Allie, will I meet my future partner soon? And is there anything my guides want to tell me? I'm turning 34 in October, and I felt like I completed a cycle and feel strange. I feel like life is going to be different from now on. Okay. So I hate timing things in this, especially when someone's been here for a while asking. So I saw 35, and I don't know what stage of that is, but I see that as being significant. And then I also feel like, as far as meeting somebody, um, and it still feels like, again, you're still working on focusing on yourself. So it's not like I'm saying like, oh, work on self concept. It just feels like you're really enjoying life without worrying about like, does this make me a whole and complete person? Like, what is, maybe some of the shadow work to do around this is like, why do I want a partner? What does it say about me if I have a partner? What does it say about me if I don't have a partner? And how do I feel about myself if I don't have a partner? Like, what if I never did? How would I feel about myself? Because and then it's like, then you look at those, like those belief systems that come from that. It's like, well, where does that belief system come from about not having a partner? And where does the belief system come from about having a partner? Like, sort of breaking it down a little bit more. It just feels like over that time, because I'm like, well, what's going on between that? It's like, it literally feels like you're just really enjoying life, um, and kind of doing that thing, the breakthrough that you felt. I do feel like it's a breakthrough through your heart chakra. It's like removing stigma and shame. Um, and I also feel like stepping into a sense of a little bit more clarity in the way I see the world, instead of, and not like being cynical, but just more clear about it. Like, oh, that's like the absurdity of so many things. I hope the blue heart isn't a sad heart. I just feel like it look, as much as you're like, "Oh, that's a really long time," it's really not. And when you're placing your age on something, the rest of your life literally could be another 65 plus years if you lived above 100, right? So this idea that it's like, I feel like it's like, if I could go back and talk to myself before I got married, I would have made different choices. I would have dated differently, right? I would have not tolerated a lot of the things because it was more about the belief systems that I was taught about myself and about what it meant to be in a relationship, what it said about me, what it said about others. Um, and I think you've hit that level where you're like not as naive, maybe. And like where you're starting to step into a little bit more wisdom rather than feeling like not understanding it. So psychically, it's like, yeah, like around 35 feels important. So does 36. But also, and they're not showing me anyone. They're not showing me. It just feels like that's a time that's important as far as relationship coming in. But they're not showing me anyone. But they're showing me like you focusing on yourself. And sort of that's what like opens the doorway for it. Oh, have a good one. Congratulations on your retirement. Okay. Impressao intangible. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Um, so I'm going to speak in general rather than in a direct reading since you haven't paid for one. So I'm just going to speak generally when this happens. Um, Oftentimes when someone passes, we will feel their presence around us, and it's not us being crazy. Or they will visit us in dreams. Why do they visit in dreams? Because our barrier that we have towards belief is suspended, and so we're able to allow them in and to connect with them. There are many cultures around the world who honor the connection with spirit as they passed, who um, don't say, "Oh, you're crazy," right? But a lot of Americans, and I'm speaking from my own experiences. I don't say this is for everybody, but on a whole, and America's so big, like there's just so many different little subcultures within it. Um, but on a whole, it's like that's not possible. That's not real. And maybe it's also like the white Euro part too, right? Um, that's tied up in religions, belief that it's bad, different, especially Christian religions, fear mongering, and all of that stuff. But yeah, if you're feeling them with you, that's them. And it doesn't mean they're stuck here. It's just like they're there for comfort. They're there because they enjoy your presence and your energy just as much as you enjoy theirs. They're there because you're the continuation of their story, right? Whether you're a loved one or a friend, and they just want to see, like, oh, where does this go? Where does your story go? The other thing we forget is like they can already have reincarnated and started a new life and still be present here. Like our consciousness, our soul is not limited to just this, right? So it's like they can be everywhere all at once. if that makes sense. Um, so that's a general, speaking on it generally without, and I think that that's a helpful for anybody. We just have a very, like, our human mind has a very hard time wrapping its mind around the possibility of so many other things. And I've always sort of been like, why not? Like, why can't we be everywhere all at once? Like, why can't that thing be? If I mean, I've even gone to think, and I've had people say this, I'm like, yes and no. Like, I still go back and forth in this one in my head where it's like, if we can, if we're all one and we all reincarnate infinite number of times, what if we're all just the same one reincarnating in all these different roles, and technically, like, you're me, I'm you, like, it's all literally all one, and just this part of my consciousness is awake and aware to this, but then like that part is awake and aware to your experience. But you're not crazy. Sending big hugs. Loss is hard. Processing it is hard. And then if you're having spiritual experiences and connecting with spirit on top of it, that's a lot too. Like, I'm looking for this. Okay. All right. So now I've got Allie. Did you have a second question? What's your second question? The 33rd floor. Oh, anything your guys want to tell you. Okay, let me go. Let me go to that one. So I immediately saw this like interesting energetic image of like I felt like I was being pulled, my energy was being pulled up and out of my head this way. And it was like a heart repeating itself out, like, and like with like little cartoon like Mickey Mouse hands handing this heart out. So it's like they're like, we know. Like, you have the, like, the request is out there, you have put it out there, it's gone, it's sending, it's not that it's been missed, or you didn't do it right or something like that, or they're ignoring it, like, they're seeing it, it's out there. um I do feel the need to like do more conscious breathing again. I'm awareness on my right toes. I don't know. That's like a very interesting. And then also this idea, they're like, you need to sleep more. I don't feel like you're getting enough sleep, and it's not restful sleep. Um, it might benefit you to wear earplugs when you sleep at night, even though it's fairly quiet. I feel like there's outside noises that are actually disturbing your sleep, and you're not getting as restful and deep sleep as you could. Like, say if you were wearing, like, if there's crickets outside, it feels like even though you're able to fall asleep and you're like, oh, I'm so used to this, it feels like you're not getting as deep and restful sleep as you should. I also feel really tight in my jaw. um, they're really wanting you to focus on your sleep. It will help with your mental clarity, and it will help just heal you in ways that you really hadn't been certain of. It's just feeling like focusing on deep breathing and getting really good solid sleep. You have tinnitus. Okay, ready? Eat for insulin resistance. So I had tinnitus really bad. Like, it was loud. And some of the things I started doing along the way started helping. But eating for insulin resistance is really, really was like, I think the thing that like that, and also look into alpha lipoic acid. Yeah, alpha lipoic acid, and not that I'm a doctor, so look into it, do your own research. Here, we'll look at it. Yeah. So alpha lipoic acid, and then your B complex is like, guys, I always talk about B complex, and that if you're ADHD or those things, and you're probably also MTHFR. So make sure your B complexes are methylated or in a form that your body can absorb, not the synthetic form. And then alpha lipoic acid, and I think that's probably what helped my tinnitus the most. But also eating for insulin resistance is great. Yep. So look into these. So make sure your B vitamins are methylated. Um, Alpha lipoic acid is I take what I take is 600 milligrams in the morning on an empty stomach. It makes your pee stink. Like, at least makes mine smell. Um, you can get this. I think you can get them in 200 milligrams. I'm not 100% sure, and then do it in divided doses, or start with 200 and see if that helps, and then like bump up. When I went over and I tried to take more because I saw a doctor say take 600 twice a day, it made me itch and my skin crawl, and that's a side effect of having too much of it in your system. So then I drank a whole bunch of water the next day and let it flush out of my system, and then like took it. I didn't skip a day, but I just didn't take it. Didn't take the 2 doses. I took the nighttime dose, whatever, and then I switched it to where I do it in the morning on an empty stomach. Again, do your own research. I'm not a doctor. I cannot diagnose and or prescribe, but that's been very helpful. Oh, I thought you said I read it again. So, uh, yeah, and then your methylated B vitamins. So try that, see if it helps, and then that might be why the outside noise I was getting, you're not getting enough restful sleep. That might be what's doing it. Um, but yeah, I couldn't wear earplugs or anything, and then I put them in, and I was like, oh, so I can wear them now. Let me see. Yeah, no, we're good. And that was like I was going crazy. I was like, oh my god, I kind of resolved myself and to the fact that that was there. Anyway, so yeah. Um, So I don't know why it's a Mickey Mouse hand. It's just where I showed it. So it's like the request for love going out. So it's like this maybe it's Mickey Mouse because we have this like Disney princess belief of like I'm sending out my request for love into the universe. I'm giving my heart, like, when's it coming? Like, when is this request coming back? Right. So you're asking like with this childlike thing, and they're just saying like the request is there. We've got it. Don't worry. Like, this is coming, the love is coming, but just focus on you right now. Focus on healing your tinnitus. Focus on like really fixing whatever you feel like you need to fix, because the truth is if you don't feel whole and complete, yes, you can still be in a relationship, and yes, you're still going to get loved, and yes, you're still lovable, right? However, you will also tolerate a lot of behavior and a lot of things that you're not worthy of because you don't feel you're worthy of them, right? So it's like, we know the request is here. We got it. Now just focus on you. So I'm glad that was a good confirmation. They give me whatever you need to know. And I go, okay, here's it. Here's how I'm getting it. Okay. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody, my daughter's friend's mom, who I'm friendly with. She's very nice. And she's a nurse. And I was like, oh, I'm eating for insulin resistance. She's like, what is this? Like I research an inordinate amount. That's the part of me that like adds to the part where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I might be on the spectrum, because when I'm like, oh, let's find all the answers. I'm like, let's find every answer I can think of possible, and what connects where and how it connects. What's the next thing? And it's also reasonably priced. And all the studies, like, well, I started taking it for insulin resistance, and it also helped with my smell. My smell is coming back. When all the studies connected with the smell are the studies were done for 4-month period. So that's why I'm doing it. Plus, it's a nerve thing, and your tinnitus is a nerve thing. And so I just feel like it takes longer for nerves to heal and like reconnect and all of that stuff. I mean, not I feel like it really does. So it's a long period thing. So like the bottle I bought was like it's like 120 capsules. I take one capsule a day. So that's my 4 months. So I'm just going until it's done and then see what happens. I'm not taking it for a lifetime. But if that ear thing comes back, then I will be right back on it. But I think the ear thing probably got worse. It's a long story, but I think it's all connected to COVID, where it was like I was sort of set up and on the cusp of having something like this, and then I got COVID back in 2020, and then got it again last year. And I just think I was set up to have this cascading event of chain reaction type thing happen. So the one thing I'm going to warn about, so a lot of the things I'm looking at are for insulin resistance. So if you or your dad are under the care for diabetes, please check with your doctor first to make sure that it's not going to mess with, your blood sugars and cause some kind of weird hypoglycemia or something like that. That's going to interfere with any medications you might be on. Okay, or anyone. Always check with your doctor for anything, but that's why for this one. Okay, Regine and then Mariana. And then let me see if this other person purchased a reading. Okay, and then I know name's not on here as that, so. Dana, I don't know what your screen name was. It's not Dana though. Oh, hi, McKeegan. I didn't say hi to you. I'm sorry. I don't know who it was that asked for a reading and asked if they was still open. But if you're here, I got it. There you are, Dana. Okay. Oh, it is. It is. Okay, perfect. I got you. Oh, and don't worry, you don't have to apologize. I know everybody has lives. I just trust that whoever needs to be here will be here. I've learned to not worry about it or take it personally from anything. I just go, it is what it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. I'm going to trust that. A general for you. Okay. Kirik, yeah, if you want to purchase a reading, you can be added to the list. And then I'll probably put it to an end after you. Just we're at 1:45 already. So Kirik, they're paid readings. The link for PayPal is above. It's $12 a reading. 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Okay. Okay. Are you dealing with a respiratory thing? Because I just feel like a respiratory issue, maybe a cold, or it feels lungs more than head. So I would actually put it like a viral thing. Because I feel like I'm not breathing deep enough, and it feels like when I try, it's a little harder or heavier to breathe. The head hurts too. Butterflies, these are paid readings. So I'm happy to add you to the list. If you want to purchase a reading, it's $12. 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. So it's interesting. I feel like as I'm seeing from your eyes, but I feel like I'm also seeing this projection of like a house or something decorated for the holidays. It just feels very has like a holiday feel, not for Halloween, but all the way out for Christmas. And there's just this sense of even though things might be a little bit more dim right now, because I feel like things are dim around me or dark, but I don't feel like that means like in a dark, scary way. It just feels like not where I want it to be. I have this projection of like, I know that by this time, this is when it's better. Um, or that's what I'm planning for. So for everybody who's wanting to join, if you just purchase a reading, it's $12 a question. 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I will be happy to add you to the list. I don't do free readings here. If you join my email list at myspiritualfriend.com, I do one per. I'll draw a person each week to receive a free question here each Sunday. Um, and if you go on my TikTok, I do free readings there. I'll be doing live soon. I took a break for the summer and just the last couple weeks trying to get myself settled since my kids went back to school. But I do them free over there. You're not guaranteed a reading, but there's an opportunity there too. So if you follow me over on TikTok, itchy nose, sorry. So, okay. So if it's been hard and heavy right now, it just feels like by the holidays, that's when it starts getting better. And I would put it like not before Thanksgiving, but just after Thanksgiving. And I know it seems like a really long time, and it doesn't mean there's not shifts and changes until there, but that's where it feels like that's when it opens up and is better. Like it's almost a feeling of I'm sitting in a dark room and I'm watching a projector movie of that and knowing it'll be better then. And also this idea too of like having an idea and a belief about what happiness is, and then somehow life doesn't fit that because it's like it doesn't fit the image is interesting. And it's like then it becomes starts to look at like, well, why do you believe that that's what being happy is? And what could it also mean? That's been like the hugest part of my own spiritual journey, like really and truly in the breakthroughs that I've made towards my feeling a sense of being content and being like still excited for future things and pushing forward, but also loving and accepting myself. Okay, thanks, butterflies. Um, I have that by Christmas. Okay, so then that's your answer that you know that the manifestation has gone out. But it's interesting to me that like looking at like our belief systems, like seeing how it creates all the way around. Anyway, but then that's a confirmation for me that that's going to be better. That you put it out there, it's out there. Know that your manifestation is out there. You don't need to rewrite it. You don't need to doubt it. You don't need to worry about it because I saw it. It's done. It's out there. And they said, and you may even be a little bit better off than you think. So maybe you included a little or more or better. And they're like, and that too. Okay. Okay. Mariana, what's your question? You're very welcome. Mariana, are you here? I'm going to leave you on here then. Dana, why don't you go if you're here? You can ask. Sometimes Mariana is a little, oh, there she is. I was say sometimes she's a little like behind. I want to put out our house in the market in 2024. How do you see the process, outcome, sale, how long it takes, etc.? So there's a couple dates and numbers I'm getting. So I got 30 at first, but then I feel like you might actually get an offer on day 13 of being on the market, but it won't be solidified or figured out because I feel like there's going to be a lot of back and forth. Um, and then it's like by the 30th, if you're in, what do they call it? In contract or whatever it is. It feels like it's pretty smooth and easy. However, I feel like it's not a quick closing. It's going to be a little bit more drawn out closing, and I think there's contingencies on their part on selling their house. I feel like this is a person coming from out of town. So it might be that you put it up and then by like day 30, you've settled on, like you have somebody, that's your person. And it might be like from beginning to end, like 6 months before you close. So like from the day you put it on the market to the day you actually sign, as a closing day is like 6 months. So it seems like a really long time, but it just feels like um, it's like time to get like have the inspections done. And then again, it's the contingency part. And there's a little bit with, like there's contingencies also on like needing to get a few things fixed per their request. Okay, so I'm actually leaning towards March. Yeah, you're fine with the price. It's not going to be as inflated as it would have been, say, like in 2022 or 2020, but you're fine. You're fine with the price. As much as everybody's saying like, "Oh, this is the housing market bubble," it's not. The prices are not like they're not. You're fine. I also feel like you're not selling to like I feel like you're selling to a family. You're not selling to an investor, right? Who's just going to buy up properties and keep them empty and all of that stuff. It feels like you choose a family. And one of them might be a teacher or connected with education. Okay. All right. Dana, uh, regarding your relationship with Mike, what do you see regarding your relationship with Mike? Does Mike smoke? Someone smokes. I just feel like I really like a lung thing. Um, I don't feel like it's a lot. It feels like under 10K. So, and it just feels like like I'm getting around 4K for something that feels a little bigger, but it also feels like we've known we needed to fix this and we sort of avoided it and we're hoping, but they're sort of like, if you like, I feel like they're going to ask for more off unless like you fix it. It just feels like it's cheaper for you to fix it than to give them the money off. You both vape. Okay. Got it. Okay. I'm like, your energy comes with you. So just letting you all know, like I can feel all of that. Okay. So let me focus on Dana now. Okay. also feel like Mike has teeth issues. So I'm not saying this to scold you. He vapes more than you do. Um, I feel like it's actually really affecting his gum health. I know this isn't about your relationship, but sometimes I have to get through this stuff to get to what we want to know because that's the way it works. Um, so if you can quit, because it feels like it's like that's where you're going to see the biggest issue come from it. And then it's lungs and stuff down the way. So not judging, just saying that's how it affects your body. And that's like what they're showing me, especially on him. Like I feel like there's a lot of gum issues um, that will show up. Okay, so ready spaghetti. Okay. I feel like you have been doing a lot of work. There are. Okay. Okay. So I feel like you have been doing a lot of work on your, sorry, my shorts were like riding up and it's like not fun to have shorts up your butt. So, okay. Oh, sorry, TMI. You have been doing a lot of work like on your self concept and on how you speak about yourself and how you talk to yourself and sort of like what I talk about a lot of like belief systems and looking at everything and looking at like really trying to heal from the inside out and focusing on yourself. And it feels like, oh, I do feel like there's a lot of emotional manipulation on his part. Like I feel like he does do a lot of emotional manipulation. And I feel like he said to you, like, well, you know, if you didn't do this, it just wouldn't be a problem. So you've sort of been focusing on yourself because you're like, well, maybe I am the problem, right? You're really looking at it. And it just feels like it's not that there aren't things that like it's not to say like, oh, you're perfect and he's all the problem, but wherein lies the problem is that you're willing to look at yourself and grow and heal and like get better, and he's emotionally stunted. So it's hard for him to see how he's the problem. And now that you're becoming more self aware and becoming a better advocate for yourself and learning to set boundaries, he's having a harder time with it. Then I asked, do I see it getting better? And it's like, I don't want to run to the place of like I can't diagnose people and say like, oh, but it's like it's similar to what a covert narcissist would feel like, where it's like he's not a dumb guy, right? However, it's like it's a little overinflated of where he thinks his intelligence is at. And I'm sorry if I'm getting this all wrong, but I'm just going without really. I looked once just to see if you said anything else. So if I'm off basis, feel free to tell me to pound sand. But it just feels like he overinflated sense of self, and then at the same time, like, oh, but I had such a like. There's always like a victim-y, like had a rough day, had a hard time. Somebody wasn't nice. I'm always going through stuff. Something's always breaking. Like there's always something that's going on. So do I see it getting better? I see you doing better. I don't see him changing. Am I off base completely? Here it gets all like crunchy from the. Hello? It's crickets in here. He's very supportive and thoughtful with you. Does anything I've said have resonated? It's okay to say no. So I can only tell you what I'm getting and how I'm getting it. I can be wrong. You have intimacy issues. That's the issue. Okay. Um, does he tell you that those are your, like, because of you? Maybe your own history? And intimacy issues can come from emotional unintelligent, like emotional stuntedness. Your history with him and others. Okay. So I'm not that far off basis from what I said then. I'm gonna stick with what I said, because maybe he's supportive in all those other ways, but if women need for intimacy and emotional connection to maintain a relationship, right? So meaning like you can women are just as capable of just doing it for the sake of doing it, right? But when you're in a relationship, you lose intimacy when there isn't an emotional connection. So there is something, an emotional connection that's not happening to allow for that intimacy. And it's not because you're the problem. So you've been working on yourself to heal those aspects of yourself from trauma or whatever. He's not changing in that area. That's going to provide a sense of support or whatever it is in that area. I see you changing. I don't see him changing. I don't know that he has the capability of fully understanding your position on it. And that doesn't make him a bad person. It just is where he's at. And I'm sorry, I still, if I said emotional manipulation, that's coming from a place there feels like there is. And maybe you just aren't seeing it as that yet. Um, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you or like it's not about that. It's just where people are at in stages. I've had people I've been in relationships with be really supportive of one aspect of my life, but not another in another area. They just couldn't. Like they didn't see that it was a problem. And this is not an attack on you or like, oh, like, how could you be with somebody like this? There's all kinds of reasons how we end up in relationships and how we stay in relationships. And there is no judgment on it. It's also really easy for somebody outside of it who's never been in it to be like, oh, get out of it. And I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing and sharing with you. And I'm happy to be wrong. Um, from the aspect of if we believe, do you know what the law of assumption is, and like Neville Goddard and all of that? We have a 4-year-old together, and I've been super stressed because he's the best dad. He's the hand. There's a heart here. I'm just gonna type something, um, just so I can have this come up above the heart. Thank you. Okay. What was the no to? I don't remember what I said because he's the best. Okay. Um, I am not a therapist, so this is all coming from just personal experience and law. Oh, you're not familiar with it. Okay. Um, somebody can be a really, really wonderful dad and not a great partner. They are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be a this or that. It is a this and that. So you can be a really great mom and not be in love with the person that you're with, right? They're separate relationships. And you can respect him as a really, really great father and be like, but you kind of suck as a partner, or you kind of suck in this area, right? He doesn't have to suck totally as a partner, just be in one area. And it doesn't, like, people are like, well, you're either all bad or you're all good. It's really black and white. It's like, no, just like autism or ADHD, niceness or meanness is a spectrum. Evil or good, it's not, nobody really, there's really nobody out there that's all evil. And I'm trying not to read politics into it, but one person's face comes to mind, and I'm like, he feels pretty a lot of horrible, but I'm like, there has to be one aspect that's maybe nice in there. The law of assumption says our belief systems create a reality. So if we believe, and our belief systems are not always conscious, right? Sometimes they're fed to us subconsciously. So that's like racism comes in there, and oppression, like women, like the patriarchy and misogyny and all of that stuff get folded into that. All of that gets folded in together, right? And then it's also the idea of like, so Neville Goddard talks about is like everybody is you pushed out, which means everybody shows up in a way that conforms to your belief system about yourself and about the world. So if you believe there's always that person at work who X, Y, and Z, you're always going to walk into work. The universe goes, oh, that's the way you see it. Okay, sure, no problem. We'll make sure that person's there. Or, like, oh, it can come even from traumatic experiences, like, oh, this is how these people show up, so they always show up that way. And like, that's always kind of the way that happens. And the universe is going to pick the easiest way to fulfill that experience for you. So as you change your belief systems around things, so if you believe you're unworthy and undeserving, and relationships can't be totally happy and fulfilling because there's always got to be this struggle, whatever, if you start changing that belief system, like, I am worthy, I am deserving, some relationships are bad, but not all of them. And like, you start to kind of shift and talk to yourself differently, then in theory, which I've seen it happen for myself, but everything starts to shift and change. Does it mean that that person specifically changes? I have a hard time believing that. So it's hard for me to like say like, yes, I mean, they can in theory. And I think for other people, they've had manifested their specific person, your significant other, change and conform to this new belief system. But I also believe that it's really hard for me once someone showed up, especially over a year's period, over and over and over a specific way. It's really hard for me to like shift that belief system and also allow the trust in that this is showing up differently. It's more about trust than anything of the other person, right? So I don't know. Do I think it's possible to change? Yeah, I think anything is possible, especially when we change our belief systems. Is it a lot of work to do something like that? And by work, I mean continually reaffirming and reassuring, and the thought process of like, no, this is the real story. This is how it is. He always shows up. He's always really supportive. Like, it's a lot of that, and it's a lot of work, and that can be exhausting. So in the energy aspect that you're at right now, I see you making changes and doing the work and healing and moving through the process, but I don't see the same level from him. There's also, they're talking about this aspect of feeling like, if I were to really face this and look at it for what it is, what does that say about me? That sort of aspect of maybe, I don't know. So there's some things that where it's like, I think, oh, like there's no way I could have felt your energy or see the tea thing or see all of that stuff. and get all of this. Um, and I always tell people too, like when they come here and they're like, oh, this person said X, Y, and Z. It's like, I'm not trying to fear monger you. I'm not telling you it's impossible. I'm just telling you that's where I'm get in this energetic space today. Can it change? Yeah. You can decide to change it and start manifesting differently. Start researching self-concept and changing your SP and all that stuff. And you'll know that like when you're doing manifesting, right? So a lot of people get into it, they're like, oh, I want money, I want this, I want that. But the core of manifesting and the core that really gets you the other stuff is learning to speak kindly to yourself, give yourself grace, um, um, heal by reparenting yourself in a way, like right, changing the way you believe about things, and then looking at the concepts around you, like, well, why do I believe that? Where does that belief system come from? And like challenging it within in yourself. Some people think it's exhausting. I find it fascinating. It's like, oh, that's so crazy that like for so long I believe this. Like, it's absurd that I just took that and accepted that as like whatever, and I love that it's like, oh, I don't have to go by that story. That doesn't have to be my story anymore. I've been afraid of this answer because a part of me knows it to be true. Yeah. On the other hand, it doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't say you're a terrible person. And it doesn't even say he's a terrible person. It says we came together at this time because that's where we were at energetically. But now I grew. That looked really weird. Sorry. I'm sorry. But I grew and I flew away like a butterfly. Butterflies, this is for you. And he didn't. And that's okay because he wasn't ready. Like our journeys can be tied to each other, but they're really individualistic. That's why I find it really funny when I see people like, because I read those celebrity blind items. I think they're like interesting. And I also think it's like, oh, does that like fit with what I pick up energetically on them? It's sort of like little ways I test myself. And I find it interesting because it's like I see people get so caught up in like, no, they can't break up. That's my hope. I'm like, what, the pictures? You don't know what's going on behind doors. Like those people, especially the ones that have these like big, long, like, oh, you're the most amazing thing in the whole world. It's like, why do you need to put that in public? Like, it's okay for your relationship to remain private. Your job does not require you to splay it everywhere or anybody. You can get anybody. You don't have to be celebrities. Like, their relationships and their journeys aren't, and it doesn't say anything about you. Like, it doesn't mean, oh, you couldn't stick it out. You don't have to. It's not a failure. If you learn something and you grow from an experience, it's a win. That's it. If you were to stay in a place where you know you're not fulfilled or happy, that's where you lose. That's where you're failing. And also, it's not always easy to get out of things just like, oh, I just decided I wasn't happy, so I'm out of it. It's like there's other things tied up in it, right? Financial and all of that stuff. So it's not always as easy. But just saying, if the intent is to stay there just and be miserable, who's winning? You're not, your kid's not, and he's not. Okay, butterflies, what is your question? You're very welcome, Dana. Come back. Sit some time with us again. Butterflies, are you here? There you are. I divorced 2 years ago. I've been single and met a guy. It was a good attraction, but no movement. His name is Brian. Wondering what the cards say. I have no cards. So, metaphorically speaking, I mean, I have cards. Do I have them here? Oh, I do. Look, I have these ones down here. I have more upstairs, but I don't use tarot for anybody else other than myself. And that's the truth. And I don't even really use it the way you're supposed to use it. I don't know, whatever. Okay. I'll tell you what I pick up. I don't know how intimately you know him, but I feel like he has stomach issues. Just like stomach tied in knots. So I don't feel like he's the one for you, and I don't feel like it's like, oh, um, they said he's a test run for you, and you're going to have a few more along the way before you meet someone where it's a better connection. I feel like you might go through like 5 or 6 more like short term things, and by short term it could even be as just like one more date, right? So it doesn't have to be that, but it just feels like it's a test run for you to get your feet wet, to feel more confident, to trust that you're seeing the red flags, because they're showing me that in your marriage you saw red flags along like very early on, and it was sort of ignoring it uh, for the sake of like wanting to be easygoing and not the naggy girl. Um, I feel like you grew up heavily around like either having brothers or having a lot of men around you as like on a friendship capacity, and seeing them complain and sort of like, so then you're sort of seeing relationships through the male gaze rather than like from a heavy female influence. And it was sort of this idea of like not wanting to be that girl, um and also like not wanting to be difficult or a problem. I just feel like ignoring a lot of red flags. And so this is like about you learning that you can see those red flags. It doesn't make you a pain to like, you don't even have to bring them up, but to honor them when you see them and be like, this is something I can't, because it becomes honoring your boundaries. Um, and it's about you like they're like getting your feet wet, learning to like just going with training wheels, right? And like taking those off and learning to trust yourself again. Um, um, so for anybody who's like watching this back and not reading, it's she said, I felt that. Yes, that's me. Um, I'm sharing the story and I think it's relevant. I think the reason why I connected the two this morning is probably for this specific thing. So I grew up friends with a lot of guys. I was always the friend girl. And I remember listening to guys like the way they talked about women, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be the easygoing, like, girl. And I have one friend specifically, and he had a really chaotic relationship with one of his girlfriends and I hung around them a lot. And I remember thinking like, oh, she's kind of crazy, whatever, like, because she was kind of emotional and chaotic, especially when she drank. But kind of up and down emotionally, and I thought it was all her. This guy in particular, I knew he always told little white lies, and I never understood it. And I was always like one of those things where I was like, oh, I don't ever want to be with somebody like that. Um, and what's interesting is, and I still liked him as a friend, but I also like anytime he told me anything, I was always like, there's probably about 30% truth in that, if that. So like everything kind of just was like, I took everything with a grain of salt, like did not believe a lot of his stories. Um, and now like this morning I woke up and I was like, she was just reacting to his behavior and he was completely emotionally being with her head. Um, I saw her in a completely different light as a grown woman who's been in enough, who's done enough of her own work. So I don't know why, but it's like I feel like you're seeing it from a different perspective now, and getting your feet wet. It's okay to get excited, and I think what they're showing me is just sort of like this idea of like learning to trust yourself, and like I can get excited and not ignore that. I can get excited about the possibility and go, but there's that, and I'm not willing to compromise that anymore because I've already been married, right? It's that idea of I've already been married. Like I know that doesn't, like when you were younger, you might have had this idea about marriage, and um, what it said about you and how it defined you, and where you're like, oh, that doesn't have to be the thing that defines me. And I feel like he's going to come back around, and it's like more of the attitude of like, oh yeah, I just had other stuff, like you being like, oh, I just like, I wasn't worried about it. Like, I'm not, this is not, you're not defining me and my happiness. And it feels like the minute you start to step into that, like the better options start to come forward. I actually feel like who you're going to end up with eventually is going through a divorce right now, or just finishing it up. So he's not ready yet. Okay. All right. I've been on a super long time. I've got to go get kids ready for school in the morning and all that good stuff. So I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you for whoever stuck around for all of this, and for trusting me. And thank you, Butterflies. I think you're new. I don't know. Dana, I think you're new. So keep following me. I'm on here. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm most active on TikTok. And I will see y'all next week. Have a good one.